Flawless.
Flawless. Now we can clap. Go ahead and clap our
Probably
hands. Okay, beautiful.
Nice.
This is the first, I like to say the practice run where we kind of go over what we want to see of this podcast, not only for each other, but as a platform. You know what I mean? We want this to be a little more than just us talking about nonsense or things that we really don't know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we gotta have an outline.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's kind of like what I wrote about beforehand, and I think we're both on a big path to success, right? We want to succeed. We have that vision. We have that desire, and obviously, you know, our environment and the things that we're shown through social media push and incline every man, every woman, and everybody to kind of seek that. But it's about like kind of building your foundation in all these different areas so that whenever you do reach that, you're not, you know, some snobby kid with a bunch of money who doesn't know how to financially, you know, maintain it. I think it's important to grow in different areas of your life before you reach success, because like if you don't know how to control yourself sexually and you have $1 million, well, then you're going to blow your money on strippers and coke.
Well, but it goes even further back. Like, you can't even have success if you don't know how to control yourself emotionally, right?
Exactly.
You can't have success if you don't know how to communicate in an efficient way.
Yeah, agreed. And I hope we can start this podcast with just kind of establishing those kinds of foundational things that we want to talk about over this podcast.
Absolutely. And the podcast name.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing. Dang, what did we ever...
Yeah, because I got that title card. It just says, "Welcome to our podcast." Well, there's no name.
What did you end up coming down to? Like, what did you like?
I really haven't thought about it more than we did.
Yeah, I agree.
But, well, actually, I can't pull up my notes, but I mean, we could end up talking about it during this and just cut it out.
Okay.
If you want to talk about it like right now.
Yeah, I'm actually down. So what we want this podcast to be is an example, right?
It's who we would have wanted.
Yeah, who we wanted to be, who we would have wanted. So we can kind of delve off of that, like...
We could also try to make like a pun and create our own like fake word, kind of like impulsive. But that takes some extra thinking.
Yeah, that takes an extra hour and a half. I definitely think we could do something with our initials, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that idea. It's just gonna be really hard because we like words don't really start with O and J. You know?
Yeah, the OJ. The welcome to the OJ pod.
It's like OJ Simpson, orange juice. Like what's
that falls.
Actually, yeah. Let me just grab my notebook too, and then what we should do is like go for like a minute and see how many words we can think of. Come back to each other, and then like put them together or something.
Okay, sounds good. Outgoing journeys.
Kind of long, but
yeah, it is pretty long.
It's like 5 syllables.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, because we should probably keep it down to like 3 syllables, I think.
Yeah. So I really want our pod to be something people learn from. Not to the extent of Andrew Huberman, but learn from as in they see two guys who are in college, who are entrepreneurial minded and are seeking growth and understanding what it takes to really grow. And we're going to go through trial and error. We're going to go through ups and downs, and that's just a given.
Yeah, we want people to feel welcome and like they're with us in our journey.
Exactly. For them to be like, well, these guys aren't above me, or, you know.
Yeah, it's like a check-in point.
Yeah.
You know? Checkpoint. What if we call it that?
Checkpoint?
That's kind of fucking sick.
It's not bad. I like checkpoint.
Yeah, sounds cool. Like it rolls off really nice.
Yeah.
If they're feeling a little bit down, how we do sometimes, we want them to feel heard.
A checkpoint's not bad. Okay. Let's keep talking. Let's see what comes up. What do you think what kind of an example do you want to represent? I know how that was a kind of a deep question, but... Yeah.
I think it's less about what I want to represent and more about how my words will impact other people, right?
Yeah. Then you want them to be truthful then, right?
Yes, which is what I was going to say. It has to be truthful and it has to be authentic to me. Authentic, truthful.
The authentic truth? Nah, that's too long. We wanted to feel like a conversation that you'd have with a friend.
Yeah, like I want it to feel like, because I do sometimes have conversations like this, or like give people advice in the same kind of way to my friends. I want it to feel kind of like that, you know, like you're my friend and I'm giving you advice.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Checkpoint's good and relatively close to what we're trying to do. I keep thinking of big words that I don't know the meaning of.
Yeah.
The grounded pod. Because we're grounded in like.
We've toyed with that idea.
It doesn't sound.
I mean, I think
It's probably taken, but
yeah.
something along that realm of like in the mud. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like we're no farther than those who are trying to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is we're taking a big step in starting a pod, but like we're no greater than those who are looking to learn, who are watching this, who are trying to understand. Wow, this is similar to where I am in my life. You know, I'm trying to see if school's really for me, if the college route is really for me, if there's more in store for my life or not. Okay, let's go off of these three here. I like Checkpoint.
Yeah, Checkpoint's cool. I feel like Checkpoint is one that people would remember really well. You know,
Welcome to Checkpoint.
Yeah, it stands out. It sounds the most like tangible.
Yeah, I agree. So then we can do Checkpoint as one, but we have to get two here. Yeah,
So do we want to try to combine these two?
low key.
What were they?
Grounded and like-minded. The Grounded Mind pod.
Ground up.
Ground up.
Yeah, anything with the ground in it just sounds a little bit more lame because I just think of like dirt and grass.
Yeah, basically. And if we're not purely making our pods outside, then it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah,
Like we're in a college with a nice table, nice setup.
I know. Isn't this shit crazy?
Yeah.
We just ended up here. Like, we're doing this right now.
Yeah, this is a blessing.
You always wanted to do this. We're
Yeah.
doing it right now.
Yeah.
How do you feel, bro?
I think I feel like the conversation that we had finally became something, you know? Obviously, a lot of the things that we've said to do, we've done, right?
But
Like
that's why
75
this is so important because the hurdle was so much bigger.
Yeah.
Like we're actually doing what we're saying we're doing.
Yeah, and it wasn't easy, you know. It was definitely trial and error and falling and then getting back up. Like that's kind of why I wanted to create content in general. And a lot of people aren't like fully fond of creating content, but I feel like now social media and the internet in general, it's what's kept us connected in such a way that like we can understand references and be in the same plane. Wow, same plane? The same plane pod?
I was thinking something to do with instinct
Instinct? Why?
because you need to listen to yourself. You need to follow your instincts.
Yeah, and you can't really say the instinct pod. That wouldn't be bad. But it's because, like, I think the biggest thing is that, yes, it's important to trust your gut, but there's a lot of things that we don't know. So there are times you can't really trust yourself either,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's why I think Checkpoint is so good because it encapsulates the good and the bad. You know.
Well, yeah, and the checkpoint is like a stopping point. Not a stopping point, but it's like a reflection point.
Yeah, it's a milestone. Like
Yeah.
if you're on a hike and you stop at like a mile marker, you do turn around and like, I've come this far. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like that.
Yeah, and like you might have scrapes and bruises and all this stuff up
Yeah, you're
until that
thirsty as
point.
hell. You can see the car. You've
Yeah.
only gone like half a mile.
Your lips are chapped as fuck because you forgot the chapstick in the car.
Yeah, getting sunburned, bug bites everywhere.
So I think I like to say same plane, as in you and I both have a similar desire to grow and we're on the same plane.
Yeah, we can work with that one for sure. But I think the immediate issue with that is the word same doesn't give context for the word plane.
Yeah.
So it's like like airplane or like what does that mean? You know, instead of same, we should probably think of a word that gives it context in like a dimensional way.
Collateral plane.
Yeah, or like level plane.
Level plane. That doesn't sound bad. The real plane pod.
Yeah, we should just get a plane and record inside like an influencer. You know how they rent out fake jets
Yeah.
to take pictures in? That could be us.
For like $2,000 just for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole point of this is that we're doing it for free.
Yeah. Let me think. I definitely think Checkpoint, if it's not taken, is probably going to be the one that we choose. So I think this will be good so far of trying to like figure out a name. We can start delving into kind of where we want the pod to go. You know what I mean? I think we've talked a good amount on what we want. So I think we can start and really understand what your vision is for the podcast and why, and what mine is too. And just like what you expect out of yourself. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I don't want to feel like I'm putting on a show. Like I'm not here to show those few seconds of fame that people show on a podcast.
Yeah.
Or that people show on an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm showing like a badass car that I have, it's because I worked hard for it. You know what I mean? I'm not boasting about it. I'm just showing the hard work that I put in
Yeah.
to get to this point.
That's why I'm so excited to share clips, especially if they're really good, because I know a lot of my friends are going to see it. And I feel like I've worked hard to be able to share a platform and some like kind words that I'd like all my friends to hear. Most of my close friends are probably going to be the ones seeing all the clips at first, and they're not really going to go viral, right? So like they're going to be essentially made for our friends.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like they're going to be the ones that really see it first.
Yeah, and like the reason. So what I've noticed is once you delve into a difficult point in your life and you feel like you've relatively pulled yourself out or have been pulled out of it, you now found like a peace in it, right? You found, okay, look, there's a way out of the rat race. There's a way out of the struggle that I couldn't get out of. Like, and for me, I can relate to, marijuana, for example, and the damages it had on me. Like it had a grasp on my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it affected my health in all these different areas.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like, to each their own. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging nor am I pushing the usage of marijuana in any way. Me personally, it affected me negative.
Yeah, of course, yes. Self-talk.
Mentally, physically, spiritually as well.
Yeah, the way you held yourself.
Exactly. And seeing my friends go through a similar process, it sucks, you know what I mean?
Right. There's so many people in our lives that we can think of.
Yeah,
And-
but I've had to come to a realization that I can't tell this person what to do. I can only tell myself what to do and live by example. If, let's say, my friend, he sees me and I have been sober for 5 years, for example, and he's been struggling, you know what I mean? Starting to reflect on, wow, this is genuinely a problem.
Yeah.
I am a beacon of help, of
light.
Of light. Somebody to reflect back on, like,
Yeah.
hey, man, how did you do it? How did you get out of it? How did you see the light at the end of the tunnel when you're so clouded?
And by having this platform, we're able to help so many more people at the same time
Yeah, exactly.
and give them, even if they don't have like enough courage to reach out to one of us, like individually, if we are your friend, you know.
Yeah, and we live in a society that really pushes, at least for men, I can relate on, you know what I mean? We live in a really macho society to where it's, you got something you're struggling with, keep it to yourself. There's no need for anybody else to know about it. And to an extent, I understand. To an extent, I do understand that it's important to mediate with what you speak and what you overspeak. But there are certain things that take a toll on a man in any way. And it's like keeping poison inside of your stomach and letting it damage you from the inside out.
Yeah.
In the moment, it may not seem like it's a bad thing, but after a period of neglect, of buildup, pain that continues to grow, it becomes a cancer that affects not only you, but the people around you.
Yeah. After convincing yourself that you have to go through it yourself, it's too late.
Exactly.
You need that nurturing person to like lend an ear, you know.
Exactly. And one big thing is that I also don't want to come off as a religious freak or anything like that, but I think that's my foundation, as a person.
Right, those are
as
your
an
values.
individual.
I was just talking about that last night, actually, of how a lot of philosophy kind of foundationally is based on like good virtue and doing the right thing.
Love others as yourself.
Yeah, do good unto others. A lot of the foundational religious proverbs and like values have also been found in early philosophy that is detached from religion and more just spirituality and good virtue, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. And thankfully, I can relate to it personally. So although the truth is finite, we all create our own individual truth. And of course, I'm always reflecting off of the word of God. And I'm Christian, if all of you don't know.
I think I'm agnostic. I think that's important to mention.
No, I agree.
I think that's why we have such, like, this is a good balance.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be like a Christian podcast,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be like
atheist.
it's not going to be an
purely-
atheist podcast
Yeah.
either, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
and this is like what we both discussed is the best of both worlds in the way of like two different perspectives, kind of dissecting different topics, right?
yeah,
And
because we do have different perspectives.
yeah, and that's what makes us unique in a way. Is the life that he's led, that I've led, have kind of shaped us into who we are now and who we are to become. And I don't believe in Christianity just because of whatever, you know what I mean? Like I was born and raised
But
Catholic.
You felt it.
Yeah, and I mean, I had to how do I say it? Like, I had to experience hell on earth, live in it, bask in it, and really know what it is to live like that and to experience it, and then to be pulled out, but not by my own hand, but by God.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, yeah, whatever you believe in, I respect it. Like, but what I believe in is because it's what I experienced, because it's what I saw, and there's no other truth that I wholeheartedly lean on than the Word of God.
Yeah.
And it's been a walk. You know what I mean? That's what Christianity is based upon. You know what I mean? The road to heaven feels like hell, bro, and the road to hell feels like heaven, because at the end of the day, it's the pleasures or the obedience and sacrifice that we endure daily. Because, like, I could have one night stands every night and I just feel empty. I could, contract AIDS or whatever it may be, but I'll be enjoying it in the moment and then suffering the repercussions in the end. But if, let's say, I'm abstinent for a year, 2 years, or until marriage, I am suffering in the moment, all for a divine purpose at the end with this one person.
Yeah.
And it's about prolonging that craving, that desire. And I think that's one big thing I want to our conversation to lead to is kind of discipline in a way.
Yeah.
Because I can relate to my own lack of discipline.
Right. Well, and it transcends religion, because that getting away from that desires, it's foundationally a part of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe in. As someone that's like, there probably is a creator somewhere, I'm just not attached to any specific religion, but I see your experiences and it's very captivating and it's really cool. And I connected to experiences in my own life, and we're at the same place right now. We've ended up at the same place, We're both here right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm also not trying to be really pushy with it, because I know that the way that I act, the way that I present myself, the way that I carry myself, and the relationship that I choose to build with Christ, that will reflect off of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's also very personal to you, know? So it's not always going to be the best thing in the world to speak too much on it.
Yeah.
Right. It's for you, Like, you don't have to share everything with the world, and a lot of people might not even understand it because it's so personal to you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and well, it's an individual relationship that you build with God more so than a religion that I follow. You know what I mean? Because I view Christianity more so a personal relationship that you have with God, and the church that I go to, I consider it a relationship that I have with the people all under God.
And isn't that fascinating? Where if as soon as a religious person builds a very strong relationship with God and with the people of their church and community, they feel a lot happier, like a real strong bond. And that's because they're able to socialize with all of their friends and have this community, have like this brotherhood with all these people. And that relationship with God is also the relationship with yourself. You love yourself more, and you love all these people and everything that you're a part of.
And it's hard to... Of course, we have a physical understanding of what love is. You could even say a chemical understanding of what love is, right? I believe, of course, me personally, that love isn't something physical. It's a sacrifice, like your parents, they sacrifice time, they sacrifice their youth, they sacrifice, money and all of these different things for you. You know what I mean? That's why they love you. That's why you love them. Yeah. Because you reflect on and realize the sacrifice that it was to become a parent, to give their life to you, and to guide you. And of course, there's no rule book on how to be a good dad or how to be a good mom. That's all relative.
It's a sacrifice no matter what.
Exactly.
Like, wasn't your mom saying, like, you better not ever put me in a fucking,
old
retirement home.
Yeah. And
I spent like 20 years raising your ass.
Exactly. And I would never do that just out of love, you know what I mean, and respect to my mother and to my father. And that's why I'm so focused on trying to become the best version of myself, so that isn't even something on the table, you know what I mean? So that I'm financially...
Yeah, you don't even have to think about that.
And reflecting back on sacrifice, it's like I'll always reflect to the Word, and the sacrifice that was made on the cross, on Calvary for us, is so much deeper, because the worst versions of ourselves were on His mind. You know what I mean? On Christ's mind. The state that I've been in for the last few weeks, few months, where I felt truly depressed and in despair, in anxiousness, that's who He died for. that time, those moments where I couldn't even look in my reflection, God saw me. You know, that's real love. Because like, if I can't even look at myself, whom I have lived with for my entire life,
Yeah.
and yet somebody died for that, where even myself, I don't feel worthy. And it's important to really understand what it is to love.
Yeah.
And yes, I can say I love my family and I love all of these things, but if I don't know what the definition of love is, how can I truly love myself? And if I don't even fully love myself, how can I love others? If I don't have anything to give, then why am I offering?
Yeah, interpersonal relation, the most important relationship you can make with yourself. And that's the beauty about religion and God too, is that you're never alone, right? You're never truly alone. That's like a fact of religion. And I think that's beautiful. Like, who wouldn't want to believe in that? It's a great, I mean, it's no wonder people who are able to follow it truthfully and live a life of gratitude and forgiveness, and they're happier people. Like, it makes sense. It does.
And of course, our entire society is kind of built upon religion. You know what I mean? It's something hard to escape. Not that I'm trying to be a person that pushes you to escape it. No, I think it's important to understand what it is, to realize, oh, okay, this is the impact that it's had on my surrounding.
Yeah, that's why I don't like shut it down in conversations. Like, I honestly have no plans of studying religion at this point in my life. I'm constantly absorbing information from different people about how they see it, how, I'm getting all these different perspectives, and I'm kind of making my own opinion on it.
Yeah.
Based on everyone else's firsthand experiences.
Yeah.
And like, I find it interesting, like I love most of the principles that are brought with it. And I am able to connect them to my real life, and just philosophy and all these other things that are really relevant in my life.
And that'll be another topic that we're going to be discussing every other week, because there's so much to delve into. And of course, there's so much that I can say that I don't know. You know what I mean? That's just my humble truth. Like, I don't know everything. And I'm obviously not going to be here standing up like a pastor and telling you and quoting the Bible right off my dome. No, if I'm going to speak about something, I'm going to speak about it with truth, with understanding, and with the correct interpretation. Because I'm not trying to lead anybody astray in any way. And I notice that the words that we speak have so much value and so much power to them. So that if we start basing this podcast off of manipulation and just feeding garbage into people so that they can pay us money, we'd end up making a few $100. At what cost?
Yeah, we get like a Fireball sponsorship. Dude, I've seen those. They sponsor podcasts.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
And that's interesting. That's an interesting.
We'd be all like talking about all of this like super peaceful serenity, and then we like fireball shooters.
Fireball shooters. And
we pop 3
illegally
in the middle of the podcast.
Illegally on campus, bro. Just popping 3 fireballs off the dome.
Imagine if we actually got that sponsorship and then we had to walk in with like a case of like a bunch of fireball shooters. What would they do? Like, oh yeah, no, we're just sponsored.
I don't think they'd let us.
That'd be so funny.
And even the fact, I think the cherry on top has to be the fact that we're not even old enough yet.
Yeah. I wonder how that would work. Like, because I think Fireball would be able to ship it to us if we're sponsored.
I think we could represent it, but we can't sell it. Yeah. I mean, we can't drink it on pod.
Yeah, or sell it.
Yeah.
But we could maybe they send like fake product also. So it's not actually alcohol. I don't know.
Yeah, but they sponsor more so like beer tasting podcasts.
Sure. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those, like people who do like rating on like hardcore beer, hardcore liquor.
They do that though.
Yeah. Oh, they do.
That'll be us in like 30 years.
Yeah, 30 or 40 years down the line. Definitely. Well, I don't drink personally anymore because, I've seen how I've gone with drinking, and I've seen the damage that it's done to people around me and my family. And I've reflected on it. I have in my genes on both sides of my family, a very addictive trait with alcoholism. Mm-hmm. And other things, of course, with like gambling and smoking. And all those things have a lot to do with dopamine.
Yeah, that's why I stay away from it too, because I see it in my family. Like there's definitely an addictive personality trait coming out.
And it's hard to just leave it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And as much as I would love to be sponsored and given money by Fireball, I can't wholeheartedly tell my viewers, hey, drink something I'm not going to drink.
Yeah.
You know?
We could probably get Celsius down the road.
Oh,
for sure.
Celsius for sure. Smart water for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like what we really want to represent is a healthy lifestyle that we would want to live.
So maybe not health. Maybe not Celsius.
Yeah. Well,
Shit.
well, Celsius is pretty healthy in the sense that the vitamins, and it's not like you're drinking Monster or anything like that.
Celsius is worse than Monster.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
Well, they're both. It's like sugar-free Monster. Like they're pretty much the same, but Celsius is a smaller can and it has more caffeine, so it's worse. But
Oh, are you saying it's worse because it has higher caffeine
Yeah.
intake? Oh.
yeah,
You know, I used to drink Celsius just because I thought it was a normal drink. I didn't
you
know
thought
it
it was
had
just
caffeine.
like bubbly soda.
Yeah, bro. I was like, damn, this thing's so good.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, for like, I'd like to say like 6 months. I was
That's
like,
terrible.
I didn't look at it like
Oh my
a
God.
drink at all. And I would
When
drink
was
like,
that?
oh, this is like summer, dude. I was taking like 2 or
Damn.
3, like a day. And I was like,
Yeah, that's not good.
I was like, these are really good. You know, I was
Yeah, you never thought like, oh, I feel really great after drinking these.
Yeah, just thought just because they were delicious. You know, I didn't think because they were
No.
that they were just shot in with.
Yeah, no,
caffeine.
Monsters, they have like 16-ounce cans, sugar-free. I mean, I think both use sucralose, which, I mean, not the greatest.
Well, I'm not too aware with the certain chemical compounds that are in drinks,
Yeah.
and so that'd
I
be
mean,
a whole
it's
other
important.
pod,
Yeah, it's important to know. But like, you're never gonna have a healthy energy drink. Like that's just not how it works.
Yeah. Well, that's why we like to just
But-
go black coffee.
Yeah, but I mean, also if this is like more of an entrepreneurial, like ambitious podcast, to your own discretion, right? Like if we did get sponsored by Celsius, it's like understand the risks.
Yeah.
and we'd probably have like an 18+ disclaimer or whatever.
Yeah. And also just, drink responsibly. In all cases, eat responsibly, drink responsibly. Everything has to be taken with mediation. And that's coming back to discipline and self-control. And I think that's a mental health, as in coming back to dopamine is like I personally have ADHD, and so my body lacks dopamine. And so whatever is like a secondary, whatever, fills my cup per se in dopamine.
I like that.
I pursue it because it's addictive, you know what I mean? Because it's feeling and making me feel good mentally. And although
It's
it
so
may
easy
be
to get.
damaging, it's so easy to get, you know what I mean? Oh, there's a homie who's 21, you know what I'm saying? There's, weed here in New Mexico just freely
Dude,
being
everywhere.
sold, you know what I mean? There's more
Yeah.
dispensaries than there is restaurants, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It is, bro. Like, I want to eat, not
Yeah.
smoke.
Eat weed.
Yeah, eat some nice edibles and
Yeah.
still be hungry after.
I'm not a cow. I'm not
Yeah.
grazing on grass.
That'd be insane. Yeah. But there's a lot of different topics that we're gonna go over for sure. And of course, this is more so us kind of breaking down what we want to see out of the
Well,
pod.
I mean, this really could easily be the first episode.
Oh yeah, for
because
sure.
it I mean, we got the name.
Yeah.
You know.
Checkpoint.
Yeah. Checkpoint.
God forbid it's not taken. Honestly, bro. Like
It won't matter. Well, it'll look way different.
Yeah.
We'll have our own style. It won't
Yeah.
matter.
checkpoint. Yeah. And we could literally just do. Damn, that'll be sick.
There's some cool stuff we can do.
Yeah, definitely. Oh well, I'm excited, bro, and coming back to what we want to see from one another is, Jake, if you're gonna speak on something that you truly wholeheartedly believe in, it's because you're living it. You know what I mean? And same thing with me.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be speaking about my faith, am I really living my faith? If I'm truly trying to speak on discipline and building yourself as a man, am I taking those steps and those incentives?
Yeah.
And to be fully honest and transparent, that's kind of why I've struggled to post consistently and to even just step here and sit down and talk with Jake, because like I've struggled with, the lack of consistency and the lack of congruency within yourself. I think the most important thing to establish as a man is being congruent with the words that you speak, with the actions that you take and the thoughts that you have.
Absolutely.
If I'm over here speaking and cussing and saying like all this garbage, but in the back end, my mind's thinking like, oh, I should be praising God. I'm
Yeah.
at church. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my actions and my thoughts are there, but I speak like a sailor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why a big thing I've struggled with is lust. And
Yeah.
as all men
Well,
have periodically.
Of course. And also just speaking too much or over speaking
Exactly.
about things you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
Well,
just learning how to like zip it up and just like listen, you know. That's a really good practice.
Yeah, and I've struggled with that personally because I think my mind is racing at 1,000 miles per hour. And
For sure.
before words even come out, I'm already thinking about the next syllables to say. I'm already thinking about a response to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so I'm really working on slowing myself down, not to the extent of where I'm like brain dead, but to the point where I'm present.
Well, you're processing their words more deeply.
Exactly.
And not just so focused on what you're about to say.
Yeah, and at times I'm guilty of it to where I'm like listening to you, but not really listening to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that affects me as a podcaster, as a host. You know what I mean? And so
I do that all the time. That's why it's really important for people because most people aren't even conscious about it.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about how they are during conversation.
yeah,
They're not thinking about that. They're just thinking about the next word they're going to say or what they're doing after this. You know, most people don't think to be conscious about the way they speak because it seems so automated.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it's on autopilot, but you have to be conscious of it.
Yeah,
Your voice is your
especially-
most powerful tool.
especially now because of brain rot and our attention spans. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I've seen it firsthand personally, bro. I'm like,
Yeah, I see it with some of my like dad's friends. They're like in their 50s, pushing 60, dude. They're hooked to their phones.
damn.
It's not uncommon. I mean, to be fair, they're like retired technically, so they got nothing
Yeah.
else to do. But
Yeah. No, I
still,
get
it's
you.
like it's everywhere.
Yeah. And it's a good thing, but like all things, they can be bad if taken excessively. Like if you drink caffeine 1,000 milligrams a day, you're going to accelerate a stroke or a heart attack. That's just going to happen. But if you drink a cup of coffee 200 to 400 milligrams a day, it's still pushing it, but it's mediated. Depending on your body weight, like it's not a bad dose
Yeah,
of caffeine to take.
yeah,
But as long as you're eating fully and you're being healthy and you're going to the gym, you're taking steps towards your health, like these things are being maintained. You know what I mean? If I sit on my ass all day and I drink caffeine, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Newton's third law or whatever. I don't know. I don't know all the laws,
Yeah.
but I think one of them is there's always an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the caffeine crash. That's going to be the headache later. That's going to be the anxiety, the jitters. Like it for every input, there's an output.
Yeah, and the
Equal and
tolerance
opposite
you're
reaction.
building.
Yeah, but
And-
in the same way that you build tolerance for caffeine or it can be excessive, it's the same kind of thing for discipline. Like you
Yeah.
build tolerance for doing harder things.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting.
Yeah, Andrew Huberman was talking about that.
Yeah.
It's I forget which part of the brain it is, and I don't want to misspeak, but yeah, the more you do hard things, the lower the barrier it is to start the hard thing, and you can literally train it. Like I think it's the amygdala, but it will
Yeah.
grow. Like it will literally grow like a muscle if you
Yeah.
train yourself on hard things.
Yeah, it's
kind
like
of insane.
because of the neuroplasticity in our brain. Yeah, because our
I mean, we're
brains
meant
are-
to adapt.
Yeah, and we adapt in positive ways and negative ways for sure.
Yeah.
And I want this podcast to really be how we're real about the struggles that we're going through, not to the point where we're crying. Well, we might, but to the point where we're not outpouring ourselves and making this podcast purely negative. Let's say and during this podcast we're talking about a problem that me and him are both facing. How are we going to approach it? Just talk about the negative and have no solution at the end, and you'd be like, well, what the fuck? What do they talk about the whole
Yeah.
time? No, we're going to talk about genuine issue. For example, pornography.
Yeah.
If we have an entire podcast about that and we talk about all of the issues and how it affects us negatively because we've lived it firsthand and we find a solution to it, what steps
Yeah.
you need to take daily to overcome something that has become a part of your life, part of your identity.
Hour by hour.
Exactly. And it's day by day surrender, day by day sacrifice. And there is such a plane to that, to where we can attack it mentally, we can attack it physically, to your environment, to your habits. And there's a whole other realm of spirituality that's also attached to it.
There's so much to get into.
Exactly.
There's so much to talk about.
But the main point is, like, we're not going to be here just talking about the negatives that we're going through in life. We're going to be talking about what we're going through and how to overcome it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important part about this podcast is, like, we're going to face problems. That's a given. Jake is going to go through his own thing. I'm going to go through
Oscar's
my own
going through his own thing.
thing. I am going through my own thing as we speak. And so, like, that's also why I didn't want to start. But I'm like, no. Like, I remember a brother of mine at church, he told me, he was like, hey, man, the apostles who didn't feel worthy, like the Apostle Peter, for example, he denied Christ 3 times, brother. Mm-hmm. And later on, throughout his walk with God, his shadow healed. His shadow healed those who could not see, who could not walk, who could not stand. So it shows you the trials that you go through, the errors that you commit, the temptations that you fall into. They're a testimony. Those tests that you go through, it's so that you can have a testimony to give, a truth to give to other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people struggle to just sit and reflect on what am I going through and why. Don't view it as like, oh, Lord, why?
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's life. Be
Exactly.
grateful you get to experience all these emotions. Like
Exactly.
try to find the beauty in it. Try to find the beauty in the sadness or the depression, because there is a beauty to it, and it's really hard to find, but you can find it.
Oh, definitely.
It's really hard to find.
Well, there's a beauty in struggle. There's a beauty in sacrifice. Because if we sacrifice every single day, an hour a day of me working out or going on a run, in a month, it will reflect it. In 2 months, it will reflect it. In a year, it will definitely reflect it. It's about being consistent and disciplined to maintain that consistency. Because it's easy to build a habit. It's easy to just drive like normal. If you didn't practice, if you didn't dedicate time to perfecting your craft, to driving responsibly and safely, going through all the tests, understanding what it is to drive in your city and in other places, then it won't be so automatic. But it's about practicing. And really, it's really important for us, Jake, to practice what we're preaching. Because I don't want to stand here and feel like a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to talk about what we're bringing to the podcast and why we're even doing the podcast. You know, it's for fun, for ourselves, for our friends, and for everyone else that needs to hear it.
Exactly. And one foundational thing I'm always going to bring up, and which is why I'm doing it, is I never had an older brother growing up, so I didn't have anybody to look up to. But I have a younger brother, and he's looking up to me. And I've had people who have looked up to me as well. And so I want to be that older brother I would have wanted to look up to. What kind of a man am I going to represent myself as in and out of my room?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why we gravitated to a podcast format. Because we both have people in our lives that look up to us, and we want to take it to a bigger scale. We're going global, baby.
Amen. Yeah, and the power of our words is going to be something really influential and something we really need to watch out for.
For sure. Be really present of.
Not to the point where we're copying and pasting and being and like just research paper after research paper with every word that we speak. No, we want this to be like a real conversation between me and Jake, and for it to feel real. And like we said, there are certain areas of life that we cannot speak of because we're not fully retrospective on. You know, I can't speak on the entire anatomy of the human body because I haven't studied it. So there are certain things that we're not going to have full knowledge of, and we're not going to come here brain dead to a conversation over a topic that we didn't even look over. If there is something important that we're going to talk about, we're going to speak to it with as much truth as we can, but also humble enough to learn and understand that we don't know everything. Yeah. And I believe the truth that defines you is yours, is your truth, the truth that you've lived. And so there's no way that you can properly define your truth or somebody else to properly define it. It's what you lived. And so I can't say, that's not true over a topic that you're discussing because it's what you live. And so
I think that's the appeal of this podcast and hopefully of our stories and characters is that we are speaking from the truth. And shit, I lost my train of thought. I had something good to alley-oop into. This is our 5th podcast, 4th, 6th, 4th, 5, 6.
We're somewhere up there.
Yeah, somewhere in there. And this one might come out before the other ones, and the other ones might be a little bit worse.
Yeah, and that's okay.
That's all right.
Because we're learning, and we're not professionals. We're not. After 100 podcasts, after 500 podcasts, we're going to be better. And that's just a given because it's showing up daily. Of course, once a week for us, but we have lives. We have our own situations. We have plans. We have goals. We have things we must tend to as men. every single day.
Actually, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think the appeal of this podcast is that we acknowledge how much we don't know, and that's really hard for a lot of younger people to do. I mean, it's kind of hard for us to do because the uncertainty there's a lot of it. But
Agreed.
I think what makes us valuable to listeners is that we are aware of what we don't know, and we really want to get to the bottom of it and figure it out.
Exactly.
And we're doing it for everyone that surrounds us.
Exactly. And we don't want you to listen to our words and be like, man, that's the truth and only the truth. No. The truth that we have developed is based off of what we've lived. And the truth that you're going to develop is based off of what you live. Yeah. And so whether you take something from these podcasts or not, it's completely up to you. You have the free will. You're a moral agent capable of thinking and creating your own thought. And I think it's extremely important for you to take everything with a grain of salt and with your own personal opinion. Of course, I'm going to discuss what I believe in religiously, and you'll have something completely different. That's respectable. And once you start to close out the opinions of others because it does not match your own, that's when you're living in ignorance. That's when you're starting to live in hypocrisy.
You're not even living.
Exactly.
If you're that closed-minded, I really believe you're not even living.
Exactly.
Because you're so clouded by your fake perception of what's around you.
Exactly.
Like none of it's real. Even what you tell yourself, none of it's real. You're not actually living. And if you have a closed mind.
And I've created this I've thought of this analogy, right? And let me know what you think. It's I personally think of myself as an open book that's being written. So imagine an open book like this.
Right.
And let's say we're after so many chapters and it's actively writing words. That's who I am. So we can go through all these different chapters of my life.
Yeah, you're a yapper, dude.
Yeah, and you'll know exactly where I stand and who I am.
Yeah.
And I'll be very upfront about who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm open in the fact that I'm always learning.
Yeah,
I'm
always discovering new things.
Always. And I'm not, but there's people who live with a closed book with a bunch of locks on it who are so closed-minded. It's like, hey, if you approach them with something different, they're just not going to listen.
It's got a lock on it, and it's like shaking. It's
Exactly.
like trying to fall off the table and get your attention. You know, it's like, open me.
Exactly. And if you keep your book closed, one, you'll never learn new things. And secondly, you'll never teach new things.
You'll never discover yourself or like your purpose. You'll never be happy. It's all just a figment of whatever you want to believe, and all these like things that you've convinced yourself are wrong or bad or are like you're a victim to the world. Mm-hmm. That's not helpful in any way.
I agree. But
it is a fear response, and it's hard for people to get out of it sometimes. I think
it's a reflection of what they're living or have lived in general. So.
Yeah, I think it's like a survival instinct to kind of shut everything off and like in order to protect yourself. But it's very harmful.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm judging either. I'm not judging at all. You know,
but we've been there.
Yeah.
But it is self-sabotage.
Oh,
not being able to take others' opinions that might not align with yours and really think about them instead of just putting up a wall and turning away.
Agreed. Imagine somebody cut the video right as we were saying that. They're like, no, that doesn't fall in line with what I agree in. And then we just start to reflect back on like, hey, it's okay. It's not a bad thing. Yeah. It's pretty normal. You know, we were there once and they could just have this opinion of us. That's on them. You know what I mean? And whatever opinions you guys develop, at the end of the day, it's a construct because yours is going to be different than homeboy. Yours is going to be different than homegirl because it's what you live. You're looking at everything through the lens of your screen, yes, but through the lens of your life. And everybody's is unique to them. And so if our conversations delve into whatever they delve into, it's because we go on tangents and we've jumped off of topics and stuff like that, but we're all on a foundation and we're trying to grow one another. It's iron sharpening iron. We're strengthening each other in our minds and our thoughts. And of course, there are going to be certain topics that we don't fully agree in. And that's okay.
Those are the ones we should talk about.
Exactly.
It's like, why would you close yourself off to all of this knowledge that for some reason you believe is inferior to what you already know?
Yeah.
It's foolish.
Yeah, I agree. And it'll be definitely a process of growing. And I think we must first establish what we want of this podcast. And I think we're both on the same plane of where we want to be and what we need to do to get there. And I guess we can reflect back to kind of the topics like
Right.
that we want our podcast to be about.
Well, and this isn't the main thing we're doing. This
Yeah.
is we're kind of just documenting the next year of our lives.
Exactly.
And that's what's so cool about it.
and what areas of life that we want to grow in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, we got the physical aspects because we're always trying to get big. We're trying to get at least 250 lean, at least.
Yeah.
You know, no
Yeah.
steroids, all natty.
Uh-huh.
And we're trying to grow physically. One, because I think growing physically is important in your confidence,
Yeah.
in your overall health, and in general. As a man, it is important for you to be capable of protecting your home being your family. And if you aren't strong enough, if you aren't capable enough of protecting your family, then what kind of a man have you truly built yourself to be? I'm not demeaning anybody. I'm not talking down on anybody. That's the way I feel, the way I think. Because if there comes a situation where I'm hand-to-hand combat with somebody who's threatening my family, my children, and I cannot defend my family, I did not do enough. That's simple. But if I'm there and there's a situation where somebody has a knife or whatever it may be, and I protect my family, or at least I sacrifice
Well, you
my
do what
life
you can.
protecting them, and they leave alive, then I know that although I may have perished, my family learned from me. And the legacy was you protect your family no matter how much blood you shed. And even if you die protecting them, then you died a man.
Yeah.
And-
Love is the end all be all.
Exactly. And I think that's the biggest role as men is we're meant to protect and serve. And that's why the greatest portion of gender in the military is men, because that's our purpose. It is to protect, physically protect. And yes, a lot of lives are lost. Yes. But with that purpose, they're like, man, I know I'm here on like I just perished out in war, but now I know that my family is safe.
Yeah. I mean, culturally, samurai, the most, what's the word? Where they're very proud of themselves. They die with a lot of
Honor.
honor. Yeah. They die with so much honor. It's like they run into battle, into a fight,
Exactly.
knowing or even hoping they'll die because it will be an honor
Yeah.
to go out fighting.
Well, yeah, and
That's the culture. It's insane.
and it's important to realize like, wow, I am bearing the fruit of the hard work that I put in every single day. So in 5 years from now, if me and Jake are 250 pounds lean, very unlikely, by the way. If we're 250 pounds lean,
Speak for yourself, man. I'm there.
okay, my bad, Jake.
They can't see my legs. I'm all legs. I got
Like,
50 pounds.
purely tree trunks,
70 pounds of muscle
at least, yeah,
under
yeah.
this table.
Minimum. Yeah, we're hiding it for just content purposes. Down
Yeah.
here will be an OnlyFans only link.
Yeah, we got the Velcro pants on. As soon as this ends, we're gonna stand up, rip them off, and get to it.
I mean, they're basically tearing right now as we speak.
Yeah, link in description.
Yeah, link in description. Only $500 a month. Only $500. It's pretty cheap. I'm not gonna lie. Dang, we could literally create an OnlyFans of just our feet down here. Huh? Wow.
Feet podcast.
The feet pod. While we're talking for like an hour straight, people can't complain that we're not posting content.
Yeah, join our Patreon. You get the feet only version.
Yeah, and just us talking.
Yeah, yeah. It never cuts to our faces. It's just like
just
toes
feet.
wiggling every now and then.
Yeah, just casually. Oh, I took my shoe off randomly, but yeah. Well, that would be a big thing on like how we want to grow physically, and that comes with our diet, that comes with our routines, that comes with our sleep schedules. So like, there's gonna be so much that we're gonna be able to talk about, and so much that we have to offer in knowledge and also practice that we've had. I mean, currently I'm waking up at 4 a.m. just because it's what works best for me.
Well, again, you're also trying it out again. Like
Exactly.
you don't know yet what works best for you. You have to try new things.
Exactly.
You have to.
Exactly. And really understanding what is your best optimal time for waking and sleeping will be the determining factor in how you grow in the next 5 years, the next 10 years.
Absolutely.
If you're just waking up at 12, going to sleep at 3 in the morning, if that's optimal for you, bro, and you're getting shit done, I understand.
Yeah.
Is it healthy? Probably not. But if you're working late and you're doing all these different things, it's what you have to do, and there's no other way around it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same way you can ask, if I repeat everything I did for the last 90 days for the rest of my life, would I regret that? Or would I end up reaching my goal?
Exactly. Like, did I play video games for 10 days straight
Yeah.
and not leave my room and have a bunch of jugs of piss and
Right.
shit
Of course.
in my closet building up?
Because that always happens.
Yeah.
That's
Such a relatable
Yeah.
and normal thing to be doing.
and yeah.
I mean, once the new COD or Fortnite comes out, that's all I'm doing.
Piss buckets, shit buckets,
24/7, yeah. I mean,
Splatoon.
yeah, and one candle fighting off the odor. Just one
Yeah.
candle.
One lousy candle.
Yeah, one tiny, I'd like to say 3-inch candle, 3 by 3 inch candle,
3-inch candle.
carrying the weight of my room.
It's also just unscented.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just to add a little humidity in
Yeah,
there.
it has no smell.
Just to make the air a bit thicker.
Yeah, just a little bit thicker. Oh my God.
Well, hey man, that's why it's so exciting. We got a lot to learn and a lot to bring up.
Yeah, and that's just one topic. So like we're also going to get into mental health, and like I think physical and mental health have a lot to do with one another. And
course.
I like to say is if you're not good mentally, man, you're not going to be good physically.
Not at all. And the other way around.
Exactly, vice versa. If you're not in congruency, right back to it. If you're not in congruency with yourself, then you're going to lack in different areas. And it'll come back to bite you in the ass. Like if I'm not good mentally, but I'm going to the gym hard and hard and hard, I'm going to burn out because mentally I'm exhausted.
Well,
but I'm muscling through it.
And it's not even that you have to stop working out or you're working out too much. If you're burnt out, there's something else going on. It's
Exactly.
what are you trying to cover up?
Exactly.
You're going to the gym for some reason, and
Agreed.
you have to be honest with yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to be there forever.
Exactly. And you're digging yourself a hole. And so I think the question is, are you trying to dig the foundation of your life, or are you trying to dig a big hole for something that you can't fill on your own? And so mentally, I can personally speak on how it is to live with ADHD and what it really means to have ADHD. And that'll be a whole other conversation. All we're doing is kind of summarizing what our topics are going to be about. Jake, I mean, completely the opposite, having nothing.
I'll speak about how easy my life is as a tall white male.
Exactly. Just no
in
issues
a
whatsoever.
middle class family.
Yeah. Like peak human capability right here,
Yeah, elite status. And
Exactly. Like this is like 99 and I'm like at least 60, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
But it'll be really interesting for you guys to see like the different ways people think, the way they react and respond to certain phrases, certain topics, and the importance of conversational cues and all these different things. Like we're gonna have a lot to talk about on mental health, right? And I'm personally pursuing the understanding of my mental health situation. I'm going to therapy. I'm going to psychiatry. Like I am pursuing growth mentally.
And I think more young people need to get on that.
Exactly. And
They need to get on therapy specifically.
and there's no need to shame it because I come from a family where it was pretty looked down upon. It's like, hey man, this is family. Keep it to yourself. Yes and no. I believe that it is important to keep things personal with your family and keep them to yourself in the sense that it's not important for other people to know about what's going on in your household. Yes, I agree. But there are certain things that happen in our homes are more than we can handle. So instead of telling a friend, you tell somebody who is literally bound by the law to not tell anybody about those things. And so you build a relationship with this person, and it's going to be hard when you're first starting. And I can't even lie, bro. It was difficult for me first starting because I didn't feel fully comfortable. But now I can speak about things that, although a little bit vague, that I would keep to my deathbed. There are certain things with every human, bro, that they'd be like, nah, I'd rather die than tell anybody about this.
Yeah.
Like, not even Batman could beat that shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he'd have to, like, he'd just kill me after that point. You know what I mean? And so on social media, there's a lot of people over speaking about things that are clearly private. And so there's this big, vague gap of what is good to say and what is not good to say.
Yeah,
And digital footprint is real, by the way, guys. Digital footprint is real, by the way.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the viral videos are all the crazy, stupid ones.
Exactly. And there are certain things.
That's a lot of times if you see like a video of someone just saying some stupid shit for like 30 seconds and it goes viral, has like 50 million views, that's their like 15 seconds of fame, and that's what they're going to be known as for the rest of their life. Like that's their legacy. That's what they have on the internet.
Yeah.
Of them. Like
Yeah.
that's what you leave behind.
And although a controversial topic, OnlyFans media, for example, or even a male pornography industry. You know what I mean? You're viewed as a sexual object because that's what you present yourself as. And I don't mean to demean anybody, and I don't mean to talk down on anybody who's pursued that career path. To each their own.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
no.
and I would do it too. I support that shit. Dude, if my girlfriend started selling feet pics and making more money than me, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I'll be your manager. Let's do it.
I respect it. I think there's a fine line between what is okay and what is wrong as well, because I like to view it as what kind of an example do you want to present to other people? You know what I mean? Like me personally, this is what my children are going to see when they're born. You know what I mean? Am I out here showing my cock in the middle of a conversation? You know what I mean? Like, wow, does my dad have the self-control of a 3-year-old, or is he a man? Yeah. Is he grounded? Is he disciplined? Is he well-rounded and understanding?
Does
You know what I mean?
pants that aren't
Exactly.
Velcro.
And not that I'm talking down on any woman or any men who are pursuing an OnlyFans. Like, everybody has their own situation, their own life that they're willing to lead. But the reason I don't just sell drugs and have an OnlyFans model girlfriend is because I know where I want to be and what kind of a home.
You know what reputation you want to have.
Exactly. And your reputation, one of the biggest things, please stop scrolling if you can. Please stop scrolling. Please stop and just pay attention. One of the most important things as an individual in general is your reputation. I know how that sounds. Some people are like, man, fuck what other people think.
No, it's
important.
The energy that you give off, the energy that you give other people, that you're able to like fuel in other people. Mm-hmm. Like you can literally just give someone energy.
Exactly.
And your reputation becomes really
the
cool person to be around. Mm-hmm. You know, people like hanging out with you. You make them feel good. Reputation is huge.
Yeah, and there's people who fake their way into fame, and people who pull their way away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can't escape a fake reputation. It will catch up to you. The skeletons will come out of the closet at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely. And either they'll be good or they'll be bad.
Yeah. So just be truthful with your reputation and honest with yourself about what you're doing and what path it's currently leading you on.
Exactly. And I'm not standing here like I'm a saint. No. I'm far from it. And I'm not standing here like I'm above anybody. Far from it. I'm imperfect. I've made my mistakes and I've fallen short in many different cases. That's just my personal opinion on it. That's it. And I know that firsthand because I have jeopardized my own reputation in many different cases from middle school. You know what I mean? Like mistakes that I made as a pubescent teenager. You know what I mean? Those things stood out. They defined you, even if you were that young and unknowing. And now I'm in a position where I have more of a genuine understanding, but it's a title. It's a way, whether you like it or not, it's the way people view you. And whether you care is subjective. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you're making 1.3 million on Pornhub or whatever it may be, props to you. If you don't care,
I'm jealous.
That's on you. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. I was like, but the values, I can't put a price to my values. You know what I mean?
No, we're crafting our reputation.
Exactly.
Right now.
And fully understanding what are your values is one of the biggest steps that you have to take as a person, is really understanding, okay, what do I value? What do I think is the most precious thing in the world? I like to view that as babies, as children, because they're vulnerable, they're learning, they're understanding. They're so dependent on the mother, on the father, in many different cases, not just physically, but mentally, psychologically. There's so much that goes into it. Mm-hmm. And so that proves the value of life, being empathetic and loving for all people. And sadly, it was 2 days ago. There was a very ugly event that we had in our town, and it affected me and Jake very heavily.
It hit close to home,
and it was in our home, but it thankfully we weren't personally affected. But the fact that we could have both been there. My brother could have been there, and it's sad because it had more repercussions than what we expected. Yeah, and so. What we're talking about is essentially a car show that was happening here in our town. There was a little city. there was a little event going on in a park. And
At night,
sadly.
Sketchy people.
Gun
Gun violence. Mm-hmm. National news. Not fun.
Yeah, not at all.
Not good.
And that's the lack of self-control. The allowance of ego and evil ego to take control over a person and lose all sense of humanity. And
Yeah,
so
just
if that person would have understood what values they had, they wouldn't have brought a gun. They wouldn't have showed up with the plan to do such a thing.
yeah, it's idiotic.
Exactly.
It's just a bunch of kids trying to act hard in front of each other
Exactly.
for no reason.
And again, it all being subjective.
Yeah,
And understanding that the decisions that you make, although you are a free moral agent, the decisions that you make have genuine power. Genuine, they matter.
use it for good.
Exactly.
So easy.
If you're going to be a desensitized cuck, just wreaking havoc on your community.
That's what you're gonna get back.
Exactly. And like they're now, sadly, these two boys are dead men walking. Dead men walking.
Three boys.
Three boys, yeah. Dead men walking. Like that's what it is. Somebody who kills anybody, like that horror, that pain, that anger is put on the family.
To avoid that,
Stay humble.
stay learning, be a student to the world,
Exactly.
hang out with your friends, real human connection.
Yeah, and love. Like this world that we live in is so divided, and we keep trying to divide one another.
It's not worth it.
No.
There's no point. What a waste of energy.
Exactly.
What a waste.
Exactly.
How heartbreaking is that? So avoidable and unnecessary.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because thankfully we were delving into the what ifs instead of what happened. Because my brother could have been there, and I don't know where I would be if my brother would have been there,
Yeah,
genuinely and truthfully.
I know people that could have been in a very dangerous spot.
Exactly. And there are people still in the hospitals right now. There are people, sadly, putting to rest their children.
Yeah, my heart really goes out to them.
Yeah,
It's-
and we dedicate this podcast truly to the families that had to go through that, and if in any way we get any funds, then we'd love to transfer if we get to
Absolutely.
that point. But that is a reflection of how important it is to develop yourself as a man. Because sadly, it was three boys. I like to say because those are not men. 3 boys who carried out the murder of 15 children.
Wow.
And
15 were injured.
15 were injured, 3 were killed. And still, like, injury to where you're in the hospital having to fight for your life. Like, now your entire week's thrown off.
Yeah,
Your
it's
plans.
just pointless violence. Their lives are ruined.
Exactly.
Pointless violence.
And it hurts to see because we assume that we have another day, that we have another week, that we have another month or another year to achieve the goals that we want. And now there are 3 boys who won't see graduation, who won't see marriage.
Their parents don't get to hear their voices again.
Exactly. Their parents won't be able to tell them that they're proud of them, that they love them.
That is an immense loss
Exactly.
to our community.
And if this video sticks to you in one way or another, it's for you to genuinely see where you are and where you want to be.
Well,
And
it's just a
appreciate-
reminder that you never have enough time to show how much you love your family.
Exactly.
Like you can there will never be a point where you have loved them enough. You're
Exactly.
always sharing your love with your loved ones.
Exactly.
Like it'll never be enough. Just keep loving everyone around you.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's important to appreciate the moments that we do have. The present. The present is a gift.
The privilege that we're able to have right now, being able to do this.
Exactly. And definitely take a step back, man, and appreciate the life that you have. And we all, whatever it may be, we're all going through hell. That's just normal.
But gratitude is everything, and
Exactly.
it will be the difference, gets you out of bed.
It will be the personal purpose that you lay on your life. It's like, you know what, man, I want to get a good job so that I can retire my family. That's a purpose. That's a plan. That's a goal. What steps do I need to take? You establish them. You make them clear. And so it's important to understand that although we're young, yeah, man, I mean, I'm 20. I'm young, sure. Tomorrow isn't promised. And I get that thing like, hey, man, you're young. You got so much life ahead of you. So, hey, man, we take it day by day. Because at the end of the day, whenever it's my time, and I have to accept that. As a man, you have to, delve into the understanding of death. Look at it and know that every day that you have, every second that you breathe is a blessing. And if you don't appreciate that simple of a thing, that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to enjoy anymore.
Snap out of the day-by-day life.
Exactly.
It's people get caught up in their routine and never zoom out and take a step back and really appreciate everything they already have. It's always what's next. Like what's next on the schedule? What do I want next? What am I going for? What am I looking towards? Sit with yourself and what you already have. It's gratitude.
Agreed.
That's the true source of happiness, is being able to recognize you have all you could ever need. You
Exactly.
have people that love you. Even if you feel alone, there are people that love you, whether you like it or not. And there are people that you have yet to meet that will love you more than you can ever imagine.
Exactly.
Have to put yourself out there and keep pushing. It always gets better.
Beautiful. Wow. That definitely took a turn for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm
I
glad
say
that
we leave it on
addressed
a positive note.
Yeah, I agree. Wow. And there's definitely more topics for us to discuss, but that'll be for the next podcast where we're a little more
Yeah, practice gratitude day by day.
organized. Yeah.
But yeah, we're pushing an hour 30. I don't know if I'm going to be able to edit this without crashing.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. But thank you guys for watching, and
Yeah, really thank you.
genuinely,
Thank you for being here.
thank you for being here, brother.
course.
Thank you for dedicating time to be here, to invest into something that we hope to. This is our baby.
Yeah,
man.
my pleasure, dude.
This is our
My
baby.
pleasure.
Well, thank you guys for watching, and I hope these words, were more than just words. I hope they defined us, who we are. That obviously through time you'll get to know us fully, but not completely. But I hope that this is a good indicator that the people that are speaking in front of you, speaking through the screen, speaking through your headphones, they're just like you. They have dreams, they have goals. We aspire to be better every single day. All we're trying to do is get a clear blueprint of what that is and go through trial and error together.
Yeah, if you don't wake up and really try to take a step closer to whatever you're trying to pull off, then what are you doing?
Yeah,
Don't waste the time, because it's not as infinite as you think.
exactly. Take it day by day and appreciate the moments that you do have here.
It's every step. Yeah, you don't have to spend hours a day working, as long as you just get a little bit better every single day.
Exactly. The fact that you can listen to this podcast is a blessing. The fact that you can watch it and even read it is a blessing. Take advantage of that.
It's a blessing any of us are here right now.
Exactly. We made it another day. That is a blessing in itself.
It's like shit. I had like a 1 in 1 trillion chance to be born or something. It's like I didn't ask to be born. Now I'm here.
Yeah,
I got to make the most of it.
Opportunity.
Got to make the most of it.
Exactly.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, thank you guys for
Trying.
watching. Thank you for joining us on the Checkpoint Podcast, where every video is a checkpoint. It's your opportunity to take a stop and just listen and take some value off of the words that we speak and progress each and every
catch
single
up with
day.
us. Listen to how we're doing.
Yeah, and watch as we progress, and then stop, or not stop, but reflect on the steps that we've taken and the falls that we've had. Because we're human and we make mistakes. The mistakes and the triumphs that we make define us into the men that we are going to become.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
Later.